Have you ever had a moment that completely caught you off guard? When everything seemed perfectly fine, and then, out of nowhere, your life takes a wild turn. Well, that happened to me. Picture this. You're in your own garage, minding your own business, and then, chaos. It was a regular Saturday morning. I had just finished a grueling week at the shop and couldn't wait to spend the weekend working on my 1967 Camaro SS. This car was my pride and joy, every part of it rebuilt from the ground up, piece by piece, drop of sweat by drop of sweat. But what I didn't know was that, in just a few minutes, everything would go from peaceful to downright insane. And it all started when I opened my garage door, ready to tinker with my project. What happened next? Well, it's a story you're going to want to hear. Trust me. I had just moved into this little suburban neighborhood, Willowbrook Estates. It was the perfect escape after my divorce. A place where things were supposed to be calm. Quiet streets, manicured lawns, and neighbors who kept to themselves. Or so I thought. I had spent months rebuilding my Camaro after finding it at an estate sale. It was a rusted-out mess when I bought it, but I saw something in it. I saw potential. Something that could be brought back to life with enough time, sweat, and cash. It wasn't a midlife crisis car like people assumed. It was a project, a labor of love. Weekends were my sanctuary. The smell of motor oil, the hum of the impact wrench, and the satisfaction of restoring this piece of American history kept me sane. I was the third-generation mechanic, after all. Cars were in my blood. The neighborhood was mostly quiet. The type where the HOA made sure the grass didn't grow a millimeter too high, and the mailboxes all looked the same. At least that's what I thought. Until Brenda Wilson, the HOA president, the self-appointed queen of Willowbrook Estates. She'd moved in about 5 years ago, and from day one, she was obsessed with community standards. Trash cans left out too long? She'd knock on your door and hand you a fine. Your fence posts were half an inch too tall? Prepare for a citation. She drove a white BMW, detailed more often than most people's cars. Always in perfect, pastel-colored outfits. And her smile? It was like the kind you see on dolls. Unsettlingly perfect, never a hair out of place. For the last year, Brenda had become my personal thorn in the side. I could deal with her complaints. After all, you don't want to give the HOA president more reasons to target you. But things had been escalating. First, it was the sound of my power tools. Then, a noise complaint when I was changing my brakes. But when I overheard Brenda talking about a new car purchase, that's when things took a turn. "Oh, that's my new Camaro," she said with an air of superiority. "I just bought it from a dealer in Phoenix for $45,000. It took every ounce of my self-control not to shout. I've been rebuilding a Camaro for 18 months, and this is my car. Instead, I just nodded and went back to what I was doing. Little did I know, that moment would ignite a firestorm. It was just another Saturday afternoon when it happened. I had just backed my Camaro out of the garage to check the brake fluid, enjoying the purr of the engine. It had taken me months to get this car to this level. I couldn't help but admire it for a second. But when I pulled back into the driveway, there was Brenda. Standing in her yard, staring at my car like a hawk eyeing its prey. She didn't say anything at first, but the intensity in her gaze was enough to make anyone nervous. I waved, trying to be polite, but she didn't respond. She just kept glaring at the Camaro. I didn't think much of it, until, about an hour later, her voice broke the silence. "Call 911. He stole my car." I froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. "What?" I muttered, barely believing what I was hearing. Brenda, now holding her phone to her ear, was practically screaming into it. "Yes, there's a black man stealing my car right now. It's a classic Camaro, and I just bought it yesterday. Send someone, now." I stood there, in complete disbelief. She was standing across the street, accusing me of stealing my own car. The car I had painstakingly restored. The car I had spent nearly 2 years building. Before I could even process what was happening, I heard the sirens. Police were already on their way. By the time the police arrived, My head was spinning. 4 officers rolled up, their sirens blaring, like they were responding to a high-speed chase. They jumped out of their squad cars, looking like they were ready for action. "Sir, we received a call about a stolen vehicle," one of the officers, Officer Rodriguez, said as he approached me. I blinked, looking at my car and then at the officers. "This is my car," I said, holding up my keys, "and I've owned it for over a year. I've been restoring it from the ground up." Rodriguez glanced at his partner Morgan, a younger guy who looked like he could bench press a police car. They exchanged a look. I could tell they didn't believe me. "Can you prove it?" Officer Rodriguez asked. I nodded and pulled out my phone, scrolling through pictures of the restoration. "I've documented every part of this project, every receipt. I've got the paper trail to prove it's mine." Brenda was standing in the background, her face flushed with rage, holding up her phone like it was some kind of weapon. "He's lying," she shouted. "I paid $45,000 for that car, and it's the exact same one." Do you have purchase documents?" Officer Rodriguez asked, turning to her. She hesitated for a moment, and then, like a deer caught in headlights, said, It's being processed." I showed the officers the bill of sale, the photos of the engine, the receipts. Every single piece of evidence lined up. Slowly, I saw the disbelief melt from Rodriguez's face. After what felt like an eternity of back and forth, the officers finally turned to Brenda. Her story was unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. Rodriguez said with a stern tone. "This vehicle has clear documentation. We're going to have to ask you about the report you filed." Brenda's face went white. The heat of her panic was palpable. Officer Morgan added, his voice sharp. "Filing a false police report is a criminal offense." Brenda opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out. Her phone, which had once been her weapon of choice, now seemed useless. I stood there, holding my ground, my hands clenched, but I kept my cool. In the end, Brenda didn't even have proper documentation for the car she claimed to have bought. The officers let me go, and I was free. But Brenda? She was the one left speechless, her bluff called. As the police drove off, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. It felt good to be in the right. That was just one chapter in a much bigger story. It didn't end with Brenda just calling the cops. No, she continued her crusade against me, filing complaint after complaint with the HOA, trying to sabotage my life. But now, I wasn't backing down. The war wasn't over, and I was ready for whatever she threw my way. As for Brenda, well, she learned the hard way that the truth has a way of coming to light. And for all the power she thought she had, it didn't matter when she was in the wrong. Sometimes, standing up for yourself is the only option. And if you've got a story of your own, whether it's about HOA Karens, ridiculous neighbors, or any kind of nonsense, you know exactly how it feels to fight for what's right. So, what would you do if this happened to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed this, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one.